Thank you, Charles, and thank you for having me. How many of you have heard me speak at the precinct meetings? Fantastic. And how many of you have heard the ads about me about the risky scheme of the state treasurer? Well, that's good, because they're blowing about $3 million and not anybody's hearing about it. So, thank you. Just a few remarks. I want to thank you for making the choice to be here tonight. But I especially want to start with the person that some of you have heard me describe as the cutest 250-year-old woman that you've ever met in your life. And as you might remember, the reason I've said that is that while I'm here working hard as the keeper of your public purse all week, she's a tour guide at Old Salem. And Old Salem is a Moravian community of 250 years old. So when she goes to work every day, she has to wear the period uniform of 250 years ago. So I just want to honor my wife who happened to be here tonight. And also say that as a reminder of all the candidates who have come up and who have spoken and those that have served in office before. If you're a spouse of a candidate or elected official, would you please rise, please? Spouse of a candidate or elected official, please stand. I know there's at least one out there. Come on, guys. Anyway, even though they're not here, let's give all the spouses and elected officials. So just very quickly, what we do at the Treasurer's Office is we find and fix. Period. That's what I've done since I've been in Raleigh for the last 13 years. And we're not afraid of using the word conservative because the word conservative means to conserve. And when you're the state treasurer of North Carolina, conserving means getting more out of less. All we do at the Treasurer's Office is we make money and we save money. That's all we do. And I'm glad I see a few faces out in the crowd of people who I'm really standing on the shoulders tonight who really make all this work. Chris Farr, my chief of staff, Debbie Moscow, who keeps state and local government running. There's probably some other of our treasurers, employees that are out there. But even though I'm up here giving the speech today, I'm actually surround myself with a lot of smart people who help the treasurer work. Just very briefly, I was asked last year, boy, aren't you glad you aren't on the ballot tonight? And let me remind you that when you're the keeper of the public purse, or actually when you're holding any of these elected offices, you're on the ballot every single day. If you forget that you're on the ballot every single day, you need to go home. Because the fact is that nobody in this room can keep their job by just being on the ballot with your employer once every 2 years. Everybody in this room who has a job is on the ballot every day. And the elected officials shouldn't be any different, and we're not that way at the Treasurer's Office. I'm going to start a few things here in just a moment, and I hope that you'll respond by saying, "Are you serious?" Can you practice one time? Are you serious? That's right. When we got to the Treasurer's Office, we found out the pension plan was paying $700 million in Wall Street fees per year. It's ironic that some 16 years ago when Harlan Bowl was the treasurer, the pension plan was only paying $50 million. So the Wall Street fees had gone from $50 to $700 million per year. Right. And whose money is that? That's ours. And the participants of these plans. So we're on a track record right now of cutting nearly $500 million in Wall Street fees out of the pension plan over a 4-year period. As Herculean as that sounds, and it was a lot of hard work, I want to tell you that the amount of money that left the pension plan last week for a 30-day period was more than that. So all the efforts that we have been successful in cutting Wall Street fees over 4 years, that's how much we pay out every 30 days out of this pension plan. We're spending over $6 billion per year just in pension benefits to state and local workers. $6 billion a year is more than the state debt. And we're spending that every year out of the pension plan. You've heard a lot recently about the state health plan. I will tell you that even though the pension plan is one of the most solvent in the United States, the state health plan is one of the most insolvent in the United States. According to Pew Research and Standard & Poor's and a lot of other objective sources, the state health plan's insolvency ranks us right behind Illinois. The same Illinois that you've been hearing about. Now we can make this large and start talking about a $32 billion liability, but let's personalize it and to tell you that we have many beginning teachers and many beginning troopers who cannot afford the family premium on the state health plan. We have people possibly in this very room who can't afford the family premium even though they're state employed because they have to work 1 week out of every 4 to pay the family premium this year. That's exactly right. So my point of saying that to you is that everybody that's on the state health plan, we are redesigning it and we're going to increase transparency and lower costs and push the power out to the individuals. It's the only thing in your world that you consume that you don't know the value and the price of it even after you consume it. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that because this is on an unsustainable course. The state pension plan is the health plan is spending over $3 billion a year for health care benefits this year, health care and pharmaceutical benefits. Now, it's one of these invisible things that people don't think about. But let me tell you that $3 billion a year is more money than gets appropriated to all the university system for all the campuses for 1 year. $3 billion is more money that gets appropriated for all the justice and public safety of this state, from the deputy sheriff to the chief justice of the Supreme Court. This is unsustainable, and we're going to increase transparency, lower costs, take advantage of our buying power, and push the power out to consumers. There are a lot of people who don't want us to succeed. Maybe some people in this, yes, are you serious? Thank you. Talk to them. Some of them may be in the room here. But my point is they can pluck every feather off the treasurer's office, off the state health plan, but we're still going to fly. And you know why? Because the president's talking about it. Senator Grassley's talking about it. Everybody is talking about transparency, surprise billing, bankruptcy, all the things that are going on with health care. And if you're old enough to remember Popeye, then you'll remember this saying. I can't stand it because I can't stand it no more. The President of the United States can't stand it anymore. The Treasurer of Utah is sending people to Tijuana to buy their prescription drugs and giving them a travel voucher because they can't stand it no more. Go Utah. What a great state. My point of saying that to you is that there is no turning back on transparency. There is no turning back on lowering costs, and there will be no turning back on pushing the power out to the consumer so you know what you pay for health care. As I close, let me just thank you for coming out today. And I'll tell you that as long as I'm your state treasurer, the facts will matter. And it matters that every time that we buy a paper clip at the treasurer's office and every time we spend a penny of your money, we think about the people out there who are earning their living with their feet and their back and their hands and their hearts and their minds. Those are the people that we represent in the treasurer's office. We don't represent Wall Street, we don't represent big health care, and we don't represent big pharmaceutical companies. And we thank you. We don't mind getting value from those groups of individuals, but when they have their hands in your cookie jar unnecessarily, like when Wall Street thieves went to $700 million per year, that's something that we need to take note of. I will close by thanking you for having me and thanking you for Wake County and all the other counties that allow me to say that I'm the first Republican state treasurer in 140 years. There's no Republican and Democrat money at the treasurer's office. It's just green. Now, Chief Justice Newby a while ago talked about all these things like follow and like. You know, sometimes when all you have to offer people is good government, you can't lobby them, you can't do anything else. All you have to offer folks is good government. Sometimes you're not well liked. and that's okay with me. But as far as following, people will follow anyone who acts like they know where they're going. And where we're going at the state treasurer's office is we think about all the people and what we told them when we filled out a job application to be the state treasurer of North Carolina. And we do not intend to let you down. My last name's Folwell. My time is up, and I thank you for yours. God bless you.